All systems in the body are connected by these tiny microscopic things called cells. They run everything. They're in blood, skin, organs. Everything that makes us us is because of cells. The main component of the cardiovascular system is the heart. The heart is a four-chambered muscle that consists of the left and right atrium and the left and right ventricles. They are separated by one-way valves. The function of the heart is to pump blood through systematic circulation to supply the cells of the body, and also through pulmonary circulation to deliver blood to the lungs to be oxygenated. Blood enters the right atrium and then enters the right ventricle through the AV valve called the tricuspid valve. Next, blood flows out of the right ventricle through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery branches in two, delivering blood to the left and right lungs. These arteries branch into arterioles, then capillaries, and finally into alveoles. Alveoles are the unit of respiration. Basically, alveoles allow the oxygen that a person breathes in to enter the bloodstream. At the same time, the alveoles allow carbon dioxide and other waste products to leave the body when a person exhales. This oxygenated blood that returns back to the heart through the pulmonary vein. The blood enters the left atrium next to the heart. Next, the heart contracts and the blood flows through the AV valve called the mitral valve. During the next contraction, the blood from the left ventricle exits into the aorta. This blood is now part of systematic circulation, which branches through arteries, then to arterioles, then capillaries, supplying the tissues and cells of the body with nutrients and oxygen. At the same time, these capillaries then rejoin to form veins that carry away the waste products of the cells like carbon dioxide. These veins slowly grow in size until they become larger and larger. Veins are a low-pressured system whose flow is controlled by one-way valves and muscular contractions. Eventually, these veins from all parts of the body return blood to the superior and inferior vena cava, finally dumping the blood into the right atrium, and the whole process begins again. Another important part is the digestive system, which is responsible with supplying the blood, body, and cells with nutrients in order for them to be able to function properly. Food enters the mouth and through the esophagus and into the stomach. Food is stored in the stomach and released into the small intestine. This is where the majority of digestion and absorption takes place. The mucus layer of the small intestine is where the process of food absorption happens. Nutrients are absorbed by finger-like projections called villi. They are made of epithelial cells and connect to capillary networks and the lymphatic system. When blood enters the capillary network and eventually gains access to general circulation. The pancreas is an organ that releases digestive enzymes in allowing food to be absorbed by the small intestine and helps break down food. Blood is filtered through the kidneys to remove waste. The kidney is made up of nephron and blood and is filtered through the glomerulus. The kidney is responsible for the absorption of water and secretion of waste. The waste leaves from the body through the urinary tract. The liver contains many blood and lymphatic vessels. The majority of blood that the liver receives comes from veins that drain from the stomach and small and large intestines to the pancreas and the spleen. This blood is poorly oxygenated but high in nutrients and contains lots of bacteria and toxins. Now the other source of blood is arterial blood, high in oxygen. The liver filters the blood, detoxifies it, converts it to glucose and glycogen and triglycerides, and acts as a major storage for glycogen. It also stores and converts amino acids to fatty acids. Now we'll move on to the big picture. Now that we understand how nutrients and oxygen are supplied to the cells and waste is extruded from the body, let's talk about the process that happens within the cell. Lipid-soluble substances such as oxygen, carbon dioxide, and fats move across the lipid bilayer through simple diffusion. Simple diffusion refers to the random movement of molecules. It does not require energy. This takes place when nutrients and oxygen are entering the cell. Other processes we learned of was osmosis. This is when water moves down the concentration gradient from high to low. This deals with ion concentration. If we think back to the kidneys and their ability to retain water and secrete these particles, this is the largest influence on osmotic pressure that the body has. Substances like glucose and amino acids are unable to pass through the membrane on their own. They need the assistance of a carrier and usually requires energy from spitting ATP. This is called active transport. This allows the cell to maintain a substance at higher concentration on one side of the membrane than the other. Active transport is used for the transportation of potassium,